Just swing around and tie her up here, please, Katie. Okay, here we have my horse called Bonza Murabinda. She's just called Moo for short. And this is Katie, a working pupil that's just started with us just about a week ago. So we're going to run through, and I'm hopefully going to help Katie in putting studs in Moo's feet. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just putting the stud box over here. Be careful when you are studding horses up by the truck that you don't leave the stud box too close to the horse. Otherwise, they could swing around and stand on it and send studs flying everywhere. Okay, it's up to Katie now, and she's going to go in there, and the first thing she's going to do is pick up the couple of studs that she's going to use, which are road studs. She's also going to probably pick up the spanner and the horseshoe nail, which is the first implement we use to start cleaning out the stud holes. Okay, so Katie's got the front foot up, just crouches down. Quite often how we do it, we just let the hoof rest on our knee. She's digging out the dirt there, and she'll do the same on the other side as well. There she goes. Quite often what happens at this point is a lot of people now pick up a tap, and they'll use the tap to finally clean out the stud hole to their satisfaction. But using a tap can be dangerous. You know, quite often I'm sure some people will experience that a horse moves while the tap is still in the stud hole. They'll slam the foot on the ground and break the tap off. And then suddenly you've got a dangerous situation where you possibly could injure the horse itself, or you might just have the tap hanging out of the bottom of the horse's shoe. Luckily for us, we use these super studs, and one of the great benefits of the super studs is that they're self-cleaning. We don't actually have to use a tap. So what Katie's going to do now, she'll just put the nail back on the stud stasher, pick up that road stud, and she'll just start to apply that stud into the hole, just with her fingers to start off with, and just get the edges in, and then she'll just use the spanner to screw it all the way in. But she'll go all the way until the base of the stud comes up against the actual horseshoe, and then she'll just tweak it again just to make sure it's nice and tight. There it goes. Okay, now, the good thing about using these super studs, we didn't need to use this tap. Here's a tap. So, Katie, if you use this tap and show people that if they're not lucky enough to have a super stud, you have to tap out these stud holes. And make sure you keep it straight. If you come in at an angle of those, there's always a risk of cross-threading, and that makes it very difficult. But as you can see, as it goes down, that is now actually stuck in the horseshoe. And so if Moo was to get a fright or something, okay, take your Kate out, then, you know, she might slam her foot down, and that would be quite a dangerous situation. Okay, now hopefully you don't have to use a tap, and so you can just keep on going on for the second stud, Katie. So just a little bit of a twist to get it into the top thread. That's it. So she's taking the studs out now, and then what becomes optional is what you put back in those holes. What we're going to do is just shove a little bit of cotton wool down into the stud holes. Sometimes you might put a little bit of oil on that, but this stops the hole getting filthy, dirty little rocks, and also the oil stops the thread on the inside of the stud holes from rusting up. Just shoving that cotton wool in just with the horseshoe nail there. Now, there is some basic aftercare that you should carry out on the studs when you've taken them out of the horse's feet. Basically, just getting rid of most of the mud. Now, with the particular super studs, there's a little slot there, which is how they get their name super, because they're self-cleaning. So it's very important to clean that slot out. But in general, just using a brush, wiping off the mud, you might have to use a bucket of water if it's really, really filthy. And then the last thing you do, just to make sure they don't rust up, is they're using a little bit of oil, or in this case, a bit of WD-40. You might actually put a few in a little bit of a bucket or a little bit of a mug, rather than just doing every individual one like we are doing here. Well, here we are at Leyland Court Cross Country Course, about to go out in the cross country and test the studs. Moo has started up with just road studs, so if it's a little bit slippery, we might be back here to change to slightly bigger studs. Now, if you need to know a little bit more about stud and studding up, then there is a guide that you can get hold of, here it is, from the Super Studs website.